Hello book readers, this is the B-Side Book Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at a classic. Yes, classic. Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs. And I say classic because everybody knows who Tarzan is. Well, at least they should. Why? Because for one thing, Edgar wrote 24 of these books in this series. And if you're not into reading the books, well, there's been darn near 50 Tarzan movies over the years, starting all the way back to 1918. And I think the last one was like 2016. So there you go, darn near 100 years of Tarzan movies. And I believe there is actually maybe 3 TV series that I can remember. Movies, books, TV. For all I know, there could be songs written about them. I don't know. However, I could not find a Tarzan shirt, so I'm not wearing a loincloth. Well, not here anyway. But I do have a tiger shirt on. Nope, sorry. Lion shirt. Got my cats confused. Lion shirt. I got this at the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas. So, got my lion shirt on. Got my Tarzan book. Grab some coffee, if I don't spill it on my lion shirt. And let's take a look at Burroughs' Tarzan of the Apes. Still a classic. Okay, everyone, let's swing from the nearest tree, beat our chest, and let out our best yell, for it's time to get our Tarzan on. Yes, Tarzan, that super cool jungle dude who, got to frolic with Bo Derek back in the Tarzan the Ape Man. Wait a minute. That was that lame 1980s movie. How about Tarzan the TV star? The Tarzan who, with that ever-perfect hair, swung through the trees with his buddies Cheetah the chimp and the racially displaced boy, Giant. No, I don't think so. This is the real deal here. This is Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan. Tarzan of the Apes. It says right there. And that's Mr. Tarzan of the Apes to you. Mr. Tarzan. Our story begins in 1888 when English nobleman John Clayton, Lord of Greystoke, and his pregnant wife are set ashore on a beach somewhere on the dark continent of Africa by a crew of mutineers who have pretty much whacked their officers and taken over the ship. Yeah, that pretty much sucks, but what can you do? Well, our Lord Greystoke builds a small but sturdy shack while his wife gives birth. Then she just kind of wigs out and dies. Apparently she was a frail creature, as most of the women in the story seem to be. So, now this powerfully rich English lord is stuck in the wilderness with a baby to take care of. Or not. His little dwelling soon attracts the attention of the local gang of chimpanzees. And these are not your cute, adorable chimps either. Whoa, no! These are mean, badass super chimps! And their leader, Kershak, turns our English lord into a limp, lifeless lord. But what about baby Greystoke? Well, Kara, a womanly chimp who has just dropped her baby from a tree limb, snatches up the baby and slams the lifeless corpse of her own baby, into the crib, and off she goes. And that's how the future of Lord of Greystoke becomes Tarzan of the Apes. Still Mr. Tarzan. Mr. Tarzan. Now Kala tries to be a good mother to Tarzan, but Tarzan is having his problems. The other boy chimps are all maturing faster than him. They all already have body hair, and the chimp chicks just weren't digging Tarzan. Yes, Tarzan of the Apes just wasn't fitting in well with the other apes. Now his mother just didn't understand him, and he was having some serious daddy issues with his stepfather, Tublat. Then one day, he notices his reflection in the water and suddenly understands the problem. Dang, he says, I look pretty hot. I mean, everyone else here looks like animals. Then, while he's beach bumming one day, he finds his father's shack. His parents' skeletons lay where they died, but he pays little attention to such. He's much more interested in the books that he finds. Here he sees pictures of other humans like him, and with the help of a picture book and a dictionary and 10 years or so with nothing better to do, Tarzan teaches himself how to read. Pretty cool. Now Tarzan's father, Lord Greystoke, did keep a diary, but for some reason he decided to make all of his entries in French. Now, is there a point to an Englishman doing that? It's Mr. Greystoke, not Greystoke. Did I say Greystoke? Greystoke. Greystoke. Now Tarzan also finds a knife. And even though the books might make him smart, the blade is what makes him the Lord of the Apes. And he begins his climb up the food chain by taking out the bull gorilla. Now maybe the badass chimps have fangs, but Tarzan has steel. Ooh, want to mess with him now? Okay, he's had enough of his abusive stepfather and the tribe herd leader, and he takes them both out. So now, he's the chimp leader. But they're just a bunch of apes. I mean, why would he want to rule them? Now, after a few years of stealing food and arrows from the local tribes of blacks, as the story calls them, Tarzan gets a glimpse at the first white people he has ever seen. Yes, William Clayton, the present, future Lord of Greystone. Not to mention Tarzan's cousin is set ashore with a few companions by a group of rowdy mutineers on pretty much the same exact spot where John Clayton was abandoned by a group of rowdy mutineers. Wow, just what are the odds of that happening? I think the Claytons need to find a better travel agency. Oh yeah. By the way, there is a woman with Clayton. And her name is, wait for it, yes, Jane. Jane Porter. Jane. Well, as the story goes, Jane is kidnapped by some super horny chimp who wants her for his wife. But never fear, for our hero Tarzan drops down from the trees and kicks the amorous ape's ass. Then he sweeps Jane up into his arms and swings her off to safety. Of course, during all this vine swinging, the two fall madly in love with each other. Tarzan, though, has no time for romance, for there are other civilized folks to be saved. Now, as Tarzan saves a French lieutenant from the local cannibals, Jane and company, well, they get just kind of bored and tag off. So Tarzan and the French guy have to hoof it all the way from the jungles of Africa to Europe, during which time the lieutenant teaches him to speak French, as well as how to use a fork. I mean, what else do you need to know? French fork. Well, Tarzan's search for his lost love takes him to Wisconsin, where he finds Jane and saves her from a vicious fire. As he swings her off to safety, he discovers that, well, she's marrying his cousin, William. Not only is William taking the girl, but he's also taking Tarzan's rightful title as well. Not to mention a pile of family loot. Oh no! What's an ape man to do? And if I know, we have to read the next book to discover this. Well, I noticed my cool shirt was not being shown, so I had to zoom back. Show my MGM Grand shirt. Cool hotel, by the way, if you're ever in Vegas. Cool shirt, cool hotel. Now here's how much I enjoyed this book. This is a great classic piece of literature. I mean, everyone knows who Tarzan is, and everyone knows the line, "Me Tarzan, you Jane." Well, don't get too attached to that line, because it's never said. Not in this book or any of the 23 sequels. What? Oh, say it isn't so! Yup, that's all Hollywood. When the two lovebirds meet, Tarzan can only speak the language of the apes. And then at the end of the book, he can speak only French. He never spoke a word of English in this entire book. But wait, there's more. Don't get too attached to the idea of his sidekick Cheetah either, because the lovable chimp doesn't exist in the books. Yep, more Hollywood. Of course, the actual gist of the story is pretty awesome. Just where did Burroughs get the idea way back in 1912 to put a human in the jungle, raised by animals? Oh yeah, Kipling's Jungle Book came out in 1894. Now, Tarzan is probably one of the most original characters to come alive in print. Yeah, here's this man cub. Oh, sorry. Wrong Jungle Boy story there. Now, according to the book Tarzan, which by the way means white skin in Acock, but you knew that, right? Anyway, he's the most handsome man alive, and he's a giant. A super strong giant at that. Yeah, he's able to kill a lion by putting it in a full Nelson. And then he just slaps it on his back and carries it off. And a full-grown male lion tips the scales at around Over 400 pounds, by the way. On top of that, he can swing through the trees at warp speed. Wow! No wonder Jane fell for him. Just how's a normal guy gonna compete with that? And what about Jane Porter? She must have been quite the scrumptious dish, because in our story, 3 guys are in love with her, and Tarzan travels all the way from Africa to Wisconsin to win her. Let's see though. She's been played by many of sex kittens in the movies. 2 that come to mind being Bo Derek and Andy McDowell. Yes, I'd certainly swing through a few trees for either one of those ladies back in their prime. Oh dear, yes. You beat your chest for that. Now here's a few notes about some of the apes that Tarzan hung out with. Now the head ape, Kershak, the one that Tarzan takes out in our story, supposedly weighed in at a hefty 350 pounds. Now that's one serious chimp there. Now these just weren't your normal everyday chimps, mind you. They were the Manani apes. Yeah, don't expect to see them at your next local zoo visit though, because they don't exist. Burroughs just made them up for the story. The hardest part about reading this book is the fact that we already have so many ideas in our head what the legend of Tarzan is all about, because of all the countless number of movies, cartoons, and TV shows that have been made from this book. Had I been reading this book from the perspective of someone who had never ever heard of Tarzan, well, who knows? The story might have been a bit more provocative. Actually, the book can be a bit of a letdown in that retrospect. This book also might be a bit of a bummer for PETA members as well. Yeah, there's one passage where Tarzan hunts down a lion and kills it just to prove to a bunch of cocky Frenchmen that he can. Poor lion. Maybe he should have put it in a sleeper hold or something like that. Yeah, dude. Okay, so that was Tarzan of the Apes. The first of many Tarzan books. In fact, I have another one here. Tarzan in the Valley of Gold. I need to read it, or I can just, I don't know, watch the movie. Because right here, a new Tarzan movie. So, go read a Tarzan book. Or watch one of the nearly 50 movies out there about Tarzan. There's a bunch of them. Or just go out into your backyard and do your, I don't know, do your best Tarzan yell. Oh, good Lord. Don't do that. Just go read a book. Oh.